I'm Officer Bobby Dube with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission here in the Florida Keys. 3 important things you need to have with you when you come down here is safety, common sense, and patience. If you have those 3 things, hopefully you'll have a safe and enjoyable experience here in the Keys. You know, we have no diving at night, where other counties in the state of Florida you can dive for lobster at night. However, you can't bully net for lobster at night here in the Florida Keys. Also, when you go out there and you're going to be participating in the lobster sport season, you need to have your saltwater fishing license, your crawfish endorsement, or your crawfish stamp for starters. You want to make sure if you're going to be harvesting lobster, you want to have your lobster gauge right here. You need to have this lobster gauge with you while you're in the water. That is very important that the lobster is measured in the water and it is legal size before it's put in your catch bag. First thing you want to do is when you catch it, I like to roll it over and make sure it's not an egg-bearing female. If it is an egg-bearing female, which will look like red or orange caviar underneath, you immediately have to release it back into the water. You cannot possess any egg-bearing females. What I like to do is go in between the horns of the lobster, and if it falls off the back of the lobster, it will be undersized, because in the state of Florida, the lobster carapace, which is the head, the hard shell, has to be greater than 3 inches, not 3 inches. So if your gauge were to fall off the back portion of the carapace or the head, it would be undersized and you have to immediately let it go. Okay, and this would be one of your 6 lobsters per person while you're out recreating. In the state of Florida, you're now allowed to separate the head from the tail. The lobsters must remain in whole condition while you're harvesting lobster. Once you get on land, on shore, you can separate the head from the tail. Here in the Florida Keys, you want to make sure when you are in the water, you don't have any type of device that would puncture this tail or the head. Okay, the snares are legal as long as you don't wrench it so tight where you separate the head from the tail. You cannot have anything in the water, a spear gun or a gig, that would puncture the lobster and damage it or kill it. So that is very important, and that's throughout the state of Florida, not just here in the Florida Keys. When you come down to the Keys, you want to make sure you make yourself aware of the local ordinances and regulations of where you can and cannot take lobster. For instance, no-take zones are the Card Sound Lobster Sanctuary, Everglades National Park, Dry Tortugas National Park, and Biscayne Bay. Okay, those are no-take zones for lobsters. You cannot even possess lobsters in those areas. In addition to, make yourself aware of the spas, which are the special preservation areas in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. And they're big yellow balls, so anything inside those big yellow balls is a special preservation area, and those are no-take zones also. You cannot lobster within 300 feet of any improved shoreline or residential area. So make sure you know the laws and regulations of where you can and can't go lobstering. Right now we have a net and a tickle stick. Now when you're down diving and looking around, you want to look for, sometimes in a hole you'll see the lobster antenna sticking out of a hole or a crevice. Okay, so you want to dive down, and when you find it, take your little tickle stick, it's called that for a reason, go behind the little lobster in the crevice of the hole and tickle him out. He'll come walking out of the hole. Okay, you want to take your net and put it between the lobster and the hole he just came out of. Okay, and then you go tap it on the head. Okay, and with a live lobster, it will go right into the net, and then you can secure them. And at that point, you want to make sure you measure them while you're in the water. The lobster carapace needs to be greater than 3 inches. So if it is of legal size, you can put it in your catch bag or your vessel. If it is undersized, immediately let it go. If you're a boater and going to be heading out, and you're the captain of that boat, you want to make sure all your safety gear is in order. Everything, you have enough life jackets for everyone on board. And make sure you have a designated driver if there are going to be alcoholic beverages on a boat. You know, people come down into the Keys to have a good time, enjoy this great area we have down here. So make sure you have a designated driver. File a float plan. All that stuff you can do before you leave the dock, because safety is no accident. If you haven't done it in a while, you might maybe want to do a check-off dive with your local dive company. If you're going to be in the water, make sure you have a dive buddy, check your air. Stay within the proper distance of your diver's down flag, because we get missing divers every lobster season. The
distance for your lobster dive flag is 300 feet or 100 yards. And as a boater, you need to make sure you have a 360 awareness around you, especially when you're among other boats, especially some of the bridges. We have a lot of bridges here in the Keys. If you're going to be going under the bridge, please come off a plane, settle in the water, look for divers, have a lookout, look for bubbles, because we don't want to have your experience down here in the Keys marred by an accident or a tragedy. You want to be very respectful for our environment, our ecosystem, and all the conservation that is entailed here in the Keys. That includes don't anchor in coral. Please find a sandy bottom if you are going to anchor. If you're going to be diving for lobster, don't touch the coral, don't flip over coral heads. Be respectful for our environment. We want you to connect and protect the environment down here that we cherish.